Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Hi everyone, my name's Sophie, representing SB Reselling Co. And I'm sure you've all heard the terrible news that Poshmark is closing in the UK, India and Australia. It's going to become a US only platform. So in this video, we are going to unpick, unpack and unravel why this may have been. So hit the likes, subscribe to the channel, let's get into it. So if you're on Poshmark, you would have received an email from them today basically saying that Poshmark is now closing. Now, they've done this pretty swiftly, so there's going to be no more purchases from the 26th of October. The date today is the 19th of October, so you basically have one more week left to sell in. Now, from the 26th, I think people will still be able to see your profile, but no one will actually be able to buy anything. And all of your money must be withdrawn by the 1st of November. If you haven't withdrawn your money by the 1st of November, then Poshmark is going to close and they're going to take your money with them. So make sure that you do have all your money withdrawn by the 1st of November. Secondly, there was an Instagram post as well that came out on the Poshmark UK's Instagram, basically saying about how it will be closing. A lot of people, I read down in a lot of the comments, a lot of people kind of found it a pretty abrupt way of telling people that Poshmark is closing and how quick it is. And I do agree with them. Like, the way that Poshmark has closed has been incredibly abrupt and very swift, shall we say. And I think that's really affected a lot of people, one, who do make income with Poshmark. Obviously, those people have lost a source of income, for which obviously I feel very sorry for them for. And also the amount of people who put their time into Poshmark, in becoming part of the Poshmark community in the UK and pushing the app, and those who bought in it. Lots of people, including myself, put in a lot of time becoming a Poshmark ambassador, and that's not an easy feat to do. It's not something you can just do in a day. It's something you do have to build. Lots of people put into time building their store ready for launch. And I have to admit, I made amazing money over my first couple of weeks on Poshmark, and I made more than what I'd ever made in a week on eBay as well. So you kind of get this hope that it's going to continue and that this is a sustainable platform. But like we say, time is money, right? So lots of people, including myself, have sunk a lot of belief, a lot of hope and a lot of time into Poshmark. And for them to kind of drop things so quickly is a little bit of a kick in the teeth. I personally kind of feel that they haven't given it enough time. Clearly there's, cash flow problems because, as we'll come on to later, obviously things like, marketing was missing and stuff like that. But I think they've been quite naive, and they also haven't given it much time, which we'll come on to in a moment. So why has Poshmark decided to become a US only platform and withdraw their services from the UK, India and Australia? Poshmark is absolutely huge in America. It's got a really good reputation there and it's already got an audience built. However, it doesn't in the UK. Now, once the free credit era had passed, so basically when they decided to do like a launch, the sellers who were like already on there, you could refer people in. They would then get a £20 free credit to be able to spend in the shop, well, in any shop on Poshmark. But once that ended, there was no real marketing after that. I kind of expected, certainly by now, to see Poshmark on YouTube ads, TV ads, maybe hear it on the radio, maybe see it in, bus stations, bus stops, things like that. But there was nothing. And I told obviously a lot of my friends at work about Poshmark and, you know, things like that. Other friends, you know, I told them about Poshmark. But there was nothing really else apart from you telling them about it and telling them to sign up. There was nothing really else driving that force of someone to sign up and then make a sale. I also think Poshmark was maybe a little bit naive by just relying purely on influencers to push their products, essentially, to push their service. You know, that's fine. However, it can only go so far. You can have, you know, as many influencers or just people with YouTube accounts like myself, you know, telling people, oh yeah, this is great, come and sign up. But that's not going to secure the longevity of Poshmark either. So I think they've kind of been a little bit naive in that respect. One other big issue that I think there was with Poshmark, despite all the good things about it, which we will come on to because it sounds like I'm just slating it. One other thing was there was only one shipping option, which was Royal Mail. And I know that lots of people, like me, I prefer not to use Royal Mail. There's lots of people the same as me who prefer not to use Royal Mail. And I think that was quite an issue for a lot of people, that they weren't given the control over how they ship their item and who they ship it with as well. So let's move on to actually, why did I choose to sign up to Poshmark? In light of all this, why did I choose to sign up to Poshmark? Well, I'd heard obviously about how big it was in America and the reputation it had there. It had so much potential because there was the options of being able to do live shows as well, which is really changing the way of reselling at the moment. It's certainly, you know, a concept to watch. Obviously, we've still got Whatnot here. But for me personally, Poshmark was such a better fit for me because I am predominantly a clothing, shoes reseller with video games and consoles thrown in. But my main items that I sell are clothing and shoes. Whatnot at the moment doesn't really fit for me for that. So Poshmark for me was a perfect fit, and it basically had everything I needed inside one app. I could list like I normally could, you know, on eBay, Vinted, Depop, whatever. I could do live sales. I could do silent ones if I didn't want to be on the camera. I could also put stories up in there. I could share other people's stuff. And there was more of like a community vibe, you know, like if you shared other people's stuff, generally they would kind of share your stuff back too. Poshmark very much pushed this community vibe, which lots of people were a part of. You know, I got chatting to lots of different people on Instagram who were Posh sellers, and vice versa. You know, lots of people added me on Instagram because they were also Posh sellers. So it had very much, you know, this social vibe to it as well. The next thing I'm going to come on to is, was there any red flags actually leading up to this anyway? So now I've kind of had time to, you know, think about things. Actually, there could well have been some red flags right from the start. Even from when there was the £20 credit giveaway. So like I said earlier, you know, if you signed up and then you got other people to sign up using your link, you then got £20 Posh credit. So did that other person. They could spend it anywhere. Once they made their first purchase, you then got £20 Posh credit back. Now that was actually meant to go on for longer than it did. Within sort of 24 hours, Posh had already decreased the amount down to £5. Now there's obviously some financial flow problems with Poshmark because you can see the lack of marketing that they chose to do. There must have been some, you know, financial flow problems and how they've also shut so abruptly. So was that a red flag to start with? Did they think, oh, perhaps we've bitten off more than we can chew here, we're hemorrhaging out more money than we realised? Was that a red flag to start with? The second thing that I also saw was, to start with, if you were a Posh ambassador, that was the only way that you could do live shows, which was why I worked hard to become a Posh ambassador. Now, quite recently, I think sort of a few months later, They then decided to let everybody do live shows. You didn't have to be a Posh ambassador anymore. So it kind of made you feel like, well, why did I put the work in if now everyone can do it? And I think possibly that was a way of trying to get more people selling to obviously generate more income for Poshmark. And another red flag also, there was meant to be a Bristol IRL sell event. And I can remember I'd actually put myself down to go to this because Bristol's not that far from me. And I can remember maybe about 10 days before the event or so, there was still no venue confirmed. And I can remember thinking, oh, this is a little bit strange. Why is there no venue confirmed for this? I thought perhaps they just haven't found one. And then about a few days later, the Bristol event was cancelled. And this is what I mean by like the community that Posh were generating. I know that some resellers, some Posh resellers, even though the event was cancelled, they still held their own reseller meetup just for Poshmark because the event was cancelled. So this is why I can understand that even if you haven't lost loads of income through this, you've still put in your time, you've still become part of a community. So this is why I can understand that people do feel a little bit kicked in the teeth. I know that I do. So yeah, all these little things kind of as things have gone along, I've kind of sat back and thought, actually, were there red flags to begin with? Interestingly, in Poshmark's Instagram post and not on their email, they did put at the end saying we may well be back. What I would like to know down in the comments, considering how this afternoon has happened, with it suddenly closing down, if they were to come back, would you trust them again? Would you start again with them? Would you want to see more evidence that they can actually sustain a long-term plan? Let me know whether you would give them another go or not. So that's the end of my video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Big love to obviously the whole Poshmark community, everyone who is losing money because of this, and make sure that you do withdraw your money by the 1st of November, otherwise Posh is taking it with them. So yeah, guys, take care and I will see you soon.